What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel for another video here and more Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I've already covered this on the MSI Claw 8 and on the Steam Deck, and really this has been pretty playable on all the handhelds. It does have its performance issues here and there, and you can't really bump up the settings or resolution too much, but I think being able to play this game on the go is pretty cool, literally, and on the Legion Go. And performance here is on the OEM official driver, nothing side loaded here, so you might see better performance if you're running one of the newer side loaded drivers. Now I have XeSS and TSR, which we'll take a look at both in this video. You can use either upscaler that you want to, but you'll probably definitely want to be doing some upscaling. We're at 1200p now, but we're also going to change that. And we're going to tick down some more of these settings, but we're at a medium low kind of custom here as well. So go ahead and jump into things and take a look at performance for these settings. And then again, we'll adjust things and I'll show you kind of where I just wound up playing, because again, performance is going to really vary all over the place depending on where you're at and what your settings are doing. And we're very GPU heavy on here. I have 6 GB of RAM set for my VRAM and the rest for the system. And you'll see here at 1200p, it really is pretty rough. Even if we lower settings, which we're going to do a little later, it really wasn't something I could get to run that well. We could do 50% TSR or more aggressive with XeSS and kind of get it up to 30 FPS, but it's still going to drop into the 20s all the time in combat. I'll show you here if we go into XeS and change to quality and get a little bit more aggressive with the upscaling. We're only going to gain a few, so from about 20, 22 up to about 25 there by doing that with XeSS. We'll go in here and make another change just to show you what's going on. We'll go to TSR and low. That'll be 50%, so just about 8% lower than what we had with XeSS quality there. And that'll take us up to about 30 to 32, maybe bounce around 31 FPS. And again, that's fine for sitting still here, but anywhere else moving around or getting into combat, it still doesn't really work. Going to 1000p is another option, especially with TSR low or XeSS bounce, which are both about 50% on the resolution. Going to 800p though will net you more performance and ultimately does wind up being the place where I stuck to with this game, even though you might want to go more 1000p. Also used XeSS on here with ultra quality, and I bumped some more of those settings down to low and just got medium textures and medium AA. And while it might not be the highest of graphic settings here, I wanted some overhead while I was playing through more of the game, so that in the areas where I was dropping down to 30 FPS still, I wouldn't really go under as often. Might be a game that you even want to lock to 30 FPS and get more aggressive with your upscaling and tick up a few more settings. Maybe you do want to go 1000p. That's fine, especially if you're going to TSR low on that. But this is just where I kind of wound up here on the go for now. And I'm sure we'll get some patches that help performance in the future. You'll see there's some frame time issues when you get into combat, and this is usually where we see the most frame drops. You can certainly go down like into the low 30s or 20s and bounce all the way back up into the 40s. So you might want to lock down your frame rate, but I wanted to leave it unlocked to show all the performance here. It certainly didn't affect any of my gameplay though, and I was able to dodge and do whatever I needed to do, combat, play the game, and really not have any problems. I haven't had any crashes with this OEM driver or anything like that. It's just that in and out of combat things can be a little janky with frame times, and your FPS can kind of be all over the place no matter what you really do with your settings. Now, in instances when you're not in that open, zoomed out world, performance is often much better and much cleaner. I've noticed in the first couple that I've gone into, and that's the case on all the different handhelds I've tried it on. So you're definitely going to get some better performance in there. Going in and out of cutscenes is fine, but it does get a little stuttery. I noticed with pretty much all of them, there's usually some kind of stutter or frame time issues, even though they're locking to 30 FPS. They're still in-game rendered. They don't seem to be a pre-rendered cutscene, so we're still getting some of that weird issue that you get in there, maybe some of that Unreal Engine kind of stuff. But I'm sure there's some performance fixes and things that can happen with patches. Now, getting into combat again here in the interior, in this instance, performance stays a little bit higher than we saw outside, and we get less of those frame rate issues or those frame time issues. And again, the game is just fine as far as being able to play. It's mostly a turn-based game with some exploration, and then you've got these parries and dodges and things like that. You certainly don't want too many stutters or issues, especially when you're trying to parry or dodge, but I certainly haven't run into any issue that would keep me from playing the game here on the go or any of the other handhelds. So go ahead and pick what kind of settings you think are going to be best for you. Bump up a few more of the Graphic settings, if you want to, go from 800p to 1000p. I don't think 1200 is going to be very viable, but I think 800 or 1000. Adjust your upscaling, use TSR or XDSS to your liking, and I think you can probably get a pretty decent experience on the Legion Go or probably one of your other handhelds with this game, and I think it's worth it. I'm having a blast with this game. It's definitely one of my most anticipated for the first half of this year, and it certainly isn't disappointing. Anyways, guys, thanks a lot for coming and check out the video. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.